Hey everyone, so this is my review of American Horror Story Apocalypse, episode 10, called Apocalypse Then. And essentially what this episode is about is that the witches prepare for their final battle against Michael. And this was an interesting episode that definitely had a lot of entertaining moments to it, but it was really kind of a mess and definitely did feel a bit rushed. And I kind of blame that all on the ideas of time travel and why I don't like it when it's not a solid part of the storyline. And with that, the biggest part that disappointed me was the fact that it felt like this whole season was leading up to this big and bad and final battle, but it didn't feel like a battle. It just felt like two parts of a fight where the other fighter didn't have any weapons. Where the first part had the witches in Outpost 3 and them going up against Michael and sort of bringing back to where we left off at episode, I think it was 4, and all that different stuff, and it just didn't feel right as a battle because of the fact it just felt like Michael just picking them off one by one. And yes, it did lead up to a great and beautiful and probably my favorite moment with Cordelia. But again, it didn't feel like a fight. It just felt like Michael just picking them all off. And just, I don't get how that was supposed to be a battle. And then the other side of it, when Mallory travels back in time and kills Michael there, again, that didn't feel like a battle. Because it just felt like Michael just getting killed off in the most mundane way ever. And yes, that was interesting because of the fact that they chose that very mundane way of him getting hit by a car to take out the Antichrist, but it definitely did feel like they were writing it off as supposed to be this funny joke, and yes, I literally laughed while I was watching it because it just didn't feel right, and I don't know why. And then everything with the actual sort of time travel component to it and stuff, and how by killing the Antichrist they sort of rewrite the whole storyline stuff, and how they chose to approach that and stuff also felt a bit weird, with Mallory giving this whole narration and stuff, which again made no sense to me of how she just kind of stayed there, I'm guessing. And that doesn't make sense because with the components of time travel, after she fixed stuff, shouldn't this Mallory that remembers everything go back to her original timeline? Which is what was set up in episode 9 when they first introduced time travel. That she would go back and that's how she remembered, but this time she stayed and she remembered. And that makes no sense in my mind. And I don't understand, and just, that's why I hate time travel so much. Because I had these same feelings when they did this same sort of thing in the end of The Librarians, and how they just sort of undid everything that this whole season was laying out and everything, and just, I don't understand why. And like, what was the purpose, and just nothing makes sense. And I just don't know what to say. But I guess the part that I can say is that the part that I did enjoy was how they chose to approach stuff in a very kind of funny way, where they did bring back Misty and having this sort of buddy-buddy relationship between Mallory and the devils and demons and stuff because of the fact that she undid the apocalypse, and they gave Misty back as a reward, and how Nan could have come back as well, but she chose not to because she enjoys being in hell so much. And then Queenie not going to the Cortez because Mallory stops it. All these different sort of storylines and stuff worked out. But then there are also, or the negative storylines where Moira's still stuck in the murder house, and how possibly, now that I'm thinking of it, because of the fact that Queenie never went to Hotel Cortez, what sort of outcomes during that final fight could have happened because of the fact that one of the vampires didn't get that, like, witch boost to be able to stop the Countess. So what actually ended up happening at the hotel as well during that final fight and stuff, and I just don't know how they're gonna keep this congruent storyline and stuff now when undoing the apocalypse undid so many other storylines and stuff. So I'm very curious to see what they're gonna do next season and if at all it's gonna make sense and be congruent and stuff, because I just don't know how they're gonna keep stuff going consistent with this undid timeline. And just, yeah, I'm just so confused and so angry and kind of disappointed because nothing makes sense anymore in my mind and I don't know what to think. But it did have some really good moments to it, and that's all I can really say is that I enjoyed the season so much, and it definitely now ranks at my number 2 level, just under Asylum, for a favorite season, because I did enjoy it thoroughly and throughout and stuff. But I just don't know what to think of this last episode. And just, yeah, and I don't know what to say, and that's why I've waited so long to post this, because I tried to come up with something to say and I just can't. And just, yeah, so I guess that's just my jibber jabber of what to say for this episode, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. So that's my random gibbering, I guess, to say for the end of American Horror Story Apocalypse for episode 10 called Apocalypse Then. So, yeah. Bye!